Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with one Joey Korman as we get ready for Tuesday NBA action, February 25th. Joey, it's been a couple weeks since we did a show. We had the All-Star break there in between, if I remember correctly. How have you been doing?
Been pretty good. Had a good. I actually went to the All Star game, so that was my first ever All Star game, and I picked a good one to go to because
Very
that was
nice. That is very cool.
yeah here in Chicago. So it was by far. I mean, I know people have been commenting, but by far the most intense All Star game I think I've ever seen. I remember there was a Kobe MJ game. I think it was MJ's final All Star game, which got pretty intense at the end there. But I really like the new rules and the target scoring. I wish it didn't end on a free throw, but that's something they can fix next year maybe. Like
Yeah, you go
where the
with a win by two or something,
yeah,
but
exactly. So it was really great. I didn't expect, I mean, obviously all the Kobe tributes at the beginning were great. Chance the Rapper, Jennifer Hudson, Common had a nice bit at the opening there, and then yeah, really exciting fourth quarter. Kyle Lowry taking charges, and I mean, there was almost technical fouls, I think. So really not a typical All Star game, and I think it really set a good tone for the future there. So.
no, that was actually pretty nice. I was actually in bed because they had gotten such a late start, and I had to go to work the next day. So I was like, it's just gonna be an All-Star game. Then you read the next morning, you're like, oh, would have been a good one to watch. Would have been a good one to watch. But we have, what do we got? 7-gamer coming on tonight. So let's see what happened on Monday. Well, Russell Westbrook decided that his thumb was sore, so he's not playing. I did not get that alert until, or I did not see said news until 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, that's when that game locked. So I'm riding in there with 15% Westbrook. So there we are. Probably going to be a rough one for me, but all it takes is one lineup to break free and do a little something good for you. So we won't know until the next day. I was on the show last night with Jay Walker recording for Monday's slate, and I had a nice little sweat there with the minute and 39 seconds left for the XFL, and I ended up holding on to my winning. So almost tripled up there. That was nice. We'll see if we get any luck here. But the green not looking good for NBA. Did not look good last night. Doubled up on hockey, doubled up on golf, lost half my NASCAR over the weekend, but otherwise been doing pretty good. The XFL projections have been very nice. That is a special package here at Osmo, but I do highly recommend it. There are only a couple sites that have projections. We also have ownership projections for the players, and Alex was actually in the Slack chat channel giving some pivot advice when a couple of the guys were scratched. So not too many other people doing that, so you get nice little access there with the old premium Osmo content. But let's start off here. We'll go game by game. Joey, first one, Charlotte at Indiana. We're not entirely sure what is happening yet with Victor Oladipo. We know that Jeremy Lamb is going to be out for the remainder of the season. We have, Indiana still, despite all that, favored by 11 here. Let's just kind of assume Oladipo's going to play 25 minutes. How does that impact as a placeholder, how does that impact what you want to do here with the rest of the Indiana players? In my opinion, still looks okay for Sabonis, looks okay for Brogdon, looks decent actually for TJ Warren. They're going against the worst defense in the league, but they're also going against the most slow team in the league. Take it away.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Oladipo out, there would be some appeal with potential Aaron Holiday. He had 28.5 points with Oladipo out last game. TJ McConnell only had 1 point and played 8 minutes, but still 3,200 on DraftKings. There is some appeal. He's still going to get some minutes. So, but I still like a good spot for Sabonis. I mean, you can't really go wrong. His price has been dropping actually for the past couple games on DraftKings, and you really can't go wrong against Charlotte inside. They've been vulnerable there all season. This looks like a potential smash spot for Sabonis. Brogdon not loving. Oladipo, if he plays, not loving. TJ Warren can always go off once in a while, but that $6,100 price tag not the greatest. Miles Turner's upside is very limited with everyone healthy. So Sabonis looks like as usual, the premier play on Indiana, and I in a 7-game slate, I probably wouldn't be delving any deeper on the Charlotte side. I mean, Rozier's price has dropped tremendously. He's still getting minutes in the 30, 35 minute range. I mean, he's getting the minutes. He just hasn't been doing much lately. Like only averaging 25 points per game over his last 5. So it doesn't. I mean, he seems like he has a low price tag there at 5,600, but he was lower. I mean, I know I took a chance on him against the Nets. I think it was 5,300 being completely busted. So yeah, I mean, he's just not playing well enough. I mean, it does look like it's a low price tag for him. He's got a nice, value rate there, 44%, 5 times value rate at that price. But this is not. It's much more crowded now with Malik Monk getting more minutes. Obviously, it's still Devontae Graham, PJ Washington back. It's a lot more crowded. There's not as much usage to go around there. So Miles Bridges has been playing well, 30 points per game over his last 5. Monk, 30 points per game over his last 5. I mean, the guy to look for, I think, on Charlotte would be Malik Monk. I don't think I would really trend towards anybody else there except maybe Monk, even him. I'm not too high on.
Yep, I would completely agree with that. It is not much else to cover on that one. Our next one here, and again, 208 over under. I should have pointed that out in addition to Indiana being favored by double-digit points. Indiana playing at the 7th slowest pace in the league. Charlotte playing at the slowest over the last 15 games. Moving on to the next one, we have Milwaukee, who is currently dismantling the Wizards by 14 halfway through the 4th quarter on Monday night. They are flying up to Toronto to take on the Raptors. They are 1.5-point road favorites at this point. You get a little bit of a measuring stick game. You get Giannis on a game that should be close. It will be a back-to-back. As we head, again, halfway through the 4th quarter here, he has played 22 minutes. That'll probably be a surprise if he goes over 28, would be my guess, with the back-to-back. And if they can keep this Wizards game in hand, I like Giannis in this spot. If we can get him for more than 32 minutes, he maps out nicely at darn near 60 fantasy points, depending on your site scoring system. If you get him to 34 minutes, he hits 60 on all of them. So Giannis, quite interesting, and maybe we'll have the never again crowd after tonight's. This isn't even a bad performance. I mean, 22 minutes, 18 points, 11 boards, 2 assists, and a block.
Not good for Giannis. Not good for Giannis. If people want to go into the never again with Giannis, they can do that. And they can save Giannis for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. But so Giannis kind of the top guy. I kind of like Siakam on the other side, but that sort of ends my love for this game. Do you see anything different?
I agree that, especially with Giannis having a bust night at 22 points. He's having a bust night. That's for his price. I think you're in a big bounce back spot there, and what should be a tightly contested game in Toronto should be good again. I mean, people, I don't think.
Oh, I should add. Sorry, Brook Lopez is likely to be out again against.
Likely to be out.
But again, we saw Tobias Harris go from doubtful to starting.
Right. How's Robin doing tonight? Has he been? I am going to check the box score here for
he has 9 points, no rebounds because hey, basketball.
The Lopez's don't rebound. I mean, Brooks the guy who doesn't rebound, but. I guess
how the hell does Robin? All of his points came on 3-pointers. He's 3 for 4.
Robin's he's a 3-point. Who isn't a 3-point shooter? I mean, yeah. I mean, it's amazing these guys are shooting threes. And Tristan Thompson's a 3-point shooter now. Like, I don't know who isn't shooting threes. Clint Capella. I don't think he shoots threes. He's Robin is a 29% this season. He's averaging 1.5 per game. Okay, I guess it's not. Get some tips from his brother, and I guess there you are. Wow. I did not see that one coming. But, really not a lot to like in this game, just because both teams are so good on defense. They are so good on defense. That over-under, though, is appealing, 231. I do really like Giannis in this game. I mean, I'll always bank on Giannis coming back for a down performance. He's too good to hold down. And I do like Siakam. Siakam actually had a really, really good shooting night against Indiana, but they blew him out in the previous game, and he only went for like 27 points. I mean, they were winning by like 30, 35 points. So he didn't get the minutes you'd expect. Siakam, Giannis, and I think you're looking at Ibaka too. Ibaka's averaging, he got 37 last game. He is averaging 35 over the past 5 games. So Gasol still hurts, so he's going to get to start once again. So my primary targets there will be Siakam, Ibaka, and Giannis. After that,
Yeah, there's not much to draw
not
from prior matchups. The only time these two Eastern Conference powerhouses that faced each other was November 2nd. So that was about 2 weeks into the season. So they've got a couple more after this one. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays.
Sorry to cut you off. Fred VanVleet, your guy.
He is my guy. He is elite in my eyes. He will play probably 36 or 37 minutes in this one. 68 on DK, 63 on FanDuel, 29 on Yahoo. Kind of like him there on FanDuel. I will be playing him in the Fred Van Elite Fan Club that, of course, you can find on my pinned tweet. Join the Awesemo DK group there, and that is where I post those. If you win that contest with an Awesemo avatar, you will get 30 free days of Awesemo premium access.
I like him a lot. 6,800 on DraftKings, 63 on FanDuel. That's, I mean, Milwaukee's always vulnerable against those 3-point shooters. So I like VanVleet there. I think he's underpriced.
All right, let's go on to the next one. I gotta look at. Oh yeah, there's a couple. Oh, there's fantasy goodness right around the corner here. Next one we've got Oklahoma City at Chicago. This is 3 and 4 for Chicago. They of course are decimated. OKC favored by 6.5. What do you want to do with the many OKC guards?
Many OKC guards. Do I have to talk about the Bulls? I don't want to talk about them. We're so bad.
My cough button doesn't work anymore.
Kobe White's the new guy here. Okay, OKC guards. Yeah, that's about. Very crowded and very pricey. I mean, Schroeder's the best option there at 5,700. He's still getting the minutes that you're expecting. He's been in a little bit of a slump. Hasn't really had that big game since February 5th. But the minutes are in the upper 20s, lower 30s. He's more than a reasonable option at the price tag of 5,700 on DraftKings. Bulls are never going to be an intimidating matchup for pretty much anybody. Not a high pace, fast team. The over under in this one is 218. Which is higher than I would have thought it would be. But Schroeder's an option there. Chris Paul is a bit pricey for me there. There's not a ton I love. And Steven Adams up there. Nerlens Noel is always going to be a nice value play at that price. He's been stuck at like the lower 3,000s now. He had a 3,200, 3,100, and 3,300 now. But he's only getting 15, 16 minutes. So the upside is really, really limited. A cash game, he's more than you can play him in a cash game, but he doesn't have the upside right now. Unless Steven Adams gets in major foul trouble or is hurt or something like that to get those minutes and get him up into the 30-point range. So it not other than Schroeder, and I'll caution you on Schroeder. I always say you never know when Dennis Schroeder is going to go off, so he probably will do terrible. But
yeah, 5,700 on DK, 56 FanDuel, 23 on Yahoo. He has some tremendous usage when he's out there. We see a lot of 3-guard lineups from OKC. I don't think Chicago's going to have a problem with that, meaning they don't have any healthy bigs. They're more or less down to Thaddeus Young, Cristiano Felicio, and Daniel Gafford. So their cupboard is relatively bare. So what some teams, you kind of got to make a choice against them. Do you play their style, or do you go mismatch and kick their ass with better wing players? And that's something that I don't think Chicago has the luxury of doing right now. So that bodes well for OKC not having to change what they do even on the road.
Wendell Carter is also questionable. He may play. Unless there's an update on him.
I'll believe it when I see it. He's been out for 6+ weeks. So he is truly supposed to return this week or next. It's been a loose deadline, but he has not been ruled out in advance of games like he was before. So he is getting in some pregame work and testing. But yeah, we'll just have to see what happens with that one.
The Chicago side, I don't like anything. Kobe White's now finally hit a price point where it's hard to play him.
Well, the other thing is the OKC guards are actually all very competent on defense.
Yeah, they are.
So that can cause things to be a little tougher for the opposing teams, especially when you consider Chris Dunn's not there, Laurie Markkinen's not there to take pressure off them, etc. I mean, Tomas Satoransky is fine, but you really suffer a little bit there with Kobe White. I think Kobe White will be a decent NBA player. He does have tremendous upside. The problem is it all comes from his scoring. So his last 2 games, he has actually scored 33 real points in each one, but he also shot 61 and 50% in the games prior to that. To show you what happens when things fall apart, 27%, 28%, 30%, 30%, 31%, 40%, 50%. So he had 6 games in there where he didn't crack 35%. So
not the model consistency.
No, and I had actually, that was an interesting one because I had written him up as a risky play. It was just hilarious. I wrote him up as a risky play on Saturday and said I thought Tomas Satoransky was a safer play. And then Satoransky had 7 fantasy points or some ungodly amount, and Kobe had a nice game. No, when I said risky, it's like you don't know what's going to happen. God, he shot 60? What did I say? 60%. And then 70% the next night. That's going to make you look real good, especially when you add in 5 combined blocks and steals and 4 3-pointers, etc. Your numbers will really go up there at the lower price. But we've seen some pretty, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 12 games, he scored less than 18 fantasy points. So it's boom or bust there. But this is, minutes are going to be there, probably in the mid-30s. It all comes down to the shot attempts. 18 and 22 in his last 2 games. Heading into that game, he had topped 15. Let's do it this way. He had topped 13 field goal attempts 3 times in January, since the beginning of January. So this is just a perfect storm for him to potentially do well. But profit is going to be a little bit harder off of his price tag because it keeps coming up.
OKC's tough on defense.
Yeah.
They've been great. They've been great all year. I think people left them for dead when they lost Westbrook, but I think their funeral is a little too early.
All right, let's continue on here. We've got Detroit at Denver. Denver favored by 12 at home. It is always tough when you've got Nikola Jokic in such an outstanding situation. However, we could see a triple double in 30 minutes from him, but it could be 22, 10, and 10. It won't kill you, but how much upside is there with Detroit? Now, Detroit was a little frisky there and took Portland down to the wire in Portland on Sunday night, and that was a close game. It went down to they were trying to get 3 for 2s on the fouls, and Christian Wood hit a 3-pointer, and McCollum missed the front end of two shooting foul or free throw situations, making the second one. But all of a sudden that game got real close, and they just kind of ran out of luck at the end. But I think it ended up only being Portland won by 4 or something, and it was getting a little closer than that until McCollum iced it there. But it's one of those where we got to see what's going to happen when it plays out. I just think Denver's decent enough on defense. They have most of their people back that are key, Paul Millsap being one of them, and they have a very good team scheme to go against someone like Detroit. That does anybody scare you from Detroit? So,
Christian Wood scaring people.
Well, do you want to take him at altitude against a decent front court that's going to make him work?
I mean, I don't want to take him, but he's scaring people. He's playing. People are talking about him as their future starting center. So
I think that. Well, that's a good one to mention. What does he play? So he's played. This is like his 5th. I'm going from memory. It's his 5th season on his 5th team, and he had a gap year where he was in the G League for an entire season. So he's had lots of chances. We'll see. Sometimes it takes people a while to put it together. Starting center, maybe. Rotation guy, absolutely. First front court player off the bench that can be a 5 or a stretch 4. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, it's not a surprise to me that they're playing better without Drummond. I've never been a Drummond guy. I actually like centers better when Drummond was in there against Detroit. I mean, that was always a target for me, like for whatever reason. Because there's so much activity around Drummond that when the ball's around there so much, you're getting so many of those steals and tip balls and things like that you don't normally get with such a high usage center. So
Yeah.
I did like Drummond then.
Christian Wood at 29 on Yahoo is interesting. The 155 multiplier over there on SuperDraft, presenting sponsor of the Early Bird podcast, is also intriguing. So there could be use for him. Probably we're looking at 30 to 32 minutes would be my guess. Just kind of looking at his game log here. That seems relatively reasonable. He has come off the bench the last 2 games after starting 4 in a row. So I don't know what's going to happen again here. The first time they said he was coming off the bench because they wanted to go that route in a matchup against Giannis. I don't know what their reasoning was in that Portland game. He still did play 31 minutes, but that's down from the 37, 35, 32, 34, 38 that we had seen in some prior games there. So a lot of uncertainty there, but he does definitely have fantasy appeal. He has top 40 fantasy points in 4 of his last 6, and one of those was 37. So basically in 5 of his last 6. So I don't want to be dismissive of him. There's just a little more variance in his game.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Denver side?
Denver side's kind of interesting. So Jokic, can get it done early. Who's going to really get it after him for rebounds? Who's really going to guard him? But, we've got Murray, Barton, Millsap, Gary Harris, Jeremy Grant, Michael Porter. I'm missing Mason Plumlee. Those guys are all healthy now. So the problem is they are unlikely to see more than 2 guys, would be my guess, get over 32 minutes if this game plays out with Denver having it in hand. So that hurts some of the key players. What you can start to look for is say, hey, if there's mop-up duty, we've got Jeremy Grant. Now, if you can get, say, he's probably priced at 3,700 on DK, 42 on FanDuel. I don't like 16 on Yahoo, but on the other 2 sites, he's power forward. If he gets everything in hand and Millsap only plays 20 minutes and Grant gets 26 because he's getting fourth quarter run, that would be nice. Michael Porter Jr. in a similar spot, little harder to trust with him because he's seemingly always dinged up, but he's someone who can score in a hurry. Mop-up duty for him at a similar price point. All it would take him is about 20 minutes to get stuff done. So I would set some rules here if you're doing the mass multi-entry. I would not play Jokic with Plumlee. I would not play Millsap and Grant. And I would not play Porter Jr. And he doesn't really have a direct backup, but probably wouldn't play Michael Porter Jr. with starters.
Yeah, Barton maybe. Barton's going to be popular again.
Yeah, 5,500 on DK. That's
it's cheap. He was a chalk play last slate
on Sunday.
And then blowout against Minnesota. You're basically giving this Vegas giving a 50, not a 50% chance, but probably. If you consider a 15-point game of blowouts minus 12, you're probably saying about a 43 to 45% chance that this is a blowout. So, Jeremy Grant and Plumlee especially. When Denver never seems to push their starters in the blowout situations. So Grant and Plumlee have really played well this year when they've blown out people. And 3,700 and 3,200 are prime values for guys who can do some damage. And Grant not as much as Plumlee, but who would do some damage in limited minutes. I'm looking back at some game logs when everyone was kind of healthy. You had a game against Miami, which was a blowout win, and Grant was 3,500 and put up 30 points. You had a Memphis game where Grant was 3,900 at 26.5 points. Another blowout game against Washington, 3,700, 31 points. So he has a pretty good track record when everyone was healthy of putting some big games in blowouts, and Plumlee's kind of in the same boat there. So I think there's a reasonable expectation it could be a blowout, and if you make, especially doing mass multi-entry and put a few lineups together that support that scenario, then could do some damage, and they probably won't be very high on.
All right, Wizards keeping it close. They got it within 4, and Giannis and Antetokounmpo had to come back in the game with 3 minutes left here.
And Cleveland has taken the lead on Miami. They were getting killed. It's 107, 106, Cleveland.
So I just put this out. This is why when we're saying we could be blowouts, or there may not be.
Or there may not be. I mean, it changes. It was looking like a blowout. It was a complete. Kevin Porter Jr. My goodness, 39 points tonight. Not real points, deep DraftKings points. Yeah. Porter Jr. Darius Garland. Yeah, it was. What was the score in this game? It was. I wrote this one off. I figured there was some mop-up duty coming in.
Yeah.
It was, man, not a usual Miami performance there. But Cleveland's not more inspired without Beeline. They didn't like him so much.
I guess.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. But again, we'll know more. You get the DFS strategy show at 9:30 on Tuesday morning. You'll get the deeper dive at 5 o'clock, and then you're going to get live before lock at 6. I believe Tuesday is who is. I'll look that up and see who it is there on Tuesday. But we are going an extra half hour for SuperDraft, who will be locking with the 8 o'clock games. Pardon me, the 7:30 games. So we will be on live before lock for an hour and a half, and I can confirm that is going to be with one Fast Eddie Fear on Tuesday. Oh, hey, I know the other guy that's on the show. It's going to be me.
You and Fast Eddie?
Me and Fast Eddie. There we are.
I'm
making a rare weekday appearance on the live before lock show.
I watched you guys on Sunday. And
yes.
I specifically heard Fast Eddie recommend Jared Allen, and I didn't listen to him. So.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Eddie had a couple good ones and a couple tough calls. I said I besmirched the fantasy output of Chetty Osman, and he dropped a deuce on me. And then we praised who did we praise? LaMarcus Aldridge, and he died on us. But then you had Jared Allen, who at a very low price point, led a lot of people to injury, and that was also the Jalen Brunson getting hurt in the first 12 seconds there on Saturday.
So early exit.
That was a tough one, but we had 3 or 4 people that had watched the show. It said they managed to min cash even with Jalen Brunson based on the other plays that they had heard from the show. So again, we're in that weird time of the year where crazy is ruling the day here for the NBA. Moving on here, 3 games to go. This is a good one. New Orleans at Los Angeles. I'm sure we will once again have probably a highly emotionally charged environment. Of course, Monday was the memorial for Kobe Bryant and his daughter. So this game is in LA. Plus you have a ton of former LA players on New Orleans. So a lot of the NBA players were in town, were in Los Angeles, including quite a few playing on Monday night that flew back later to their games. I believe Bradley Beal was out there and then flew back. Someone had mentioned to me. So that's quite a flight from LA to DC. But obviously when you have a luminary figure like that, a lot of people were impacted and wanted to honor his memory. But we have the Lakers favored by 8. Let's start off with the New Orleans side here. We're finally seeing Zion. We're seeing Zion play more minutes, not quite being wrapped completely in bubble wrap. But I am just still a little hesitant for Zion going against such a polished front court there with Dwight Howard, with Anthony Davis, etc. I think this is one of the tougher matchups for any big, not just for Zion. But let's start off there, since that's everybody's favorite guys, the number 1 draft pick. He has topped 40 fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 after not doing that for the first 8 games of his career. What do you want to do with the marquee player?
I mean, from a value standpoint, Ingram still stands out. I guess we can call this a revenge game, right? But Ingram still really stands out. He still, over the last month, has a usage rate of 25.5. So he's been in he's had 2 straight games now where he's had that price point of 60 in the upper 600. 6,800, 6,900, and was pretty mediocre. So he's definitely taken a hit. I mean, he is not putting up the all-star numbers, I'd say, since Zion has made his presence known that he was earlier in the season. But I mean, the usage is still appealing. The fantasy points per minute is still appealing at 1.2 fantasy points per minute over the last month. So, I mean, he hasn't really performed. I think we could get beginning a 40-plus point performance out of Ingram here, though. So I would definitely take a look at him. Holiday really had a monster game against Golden State, but this is not Golden State. This is the Lakers. Holiday is from LA, but that's 7,900 is a little bit of a hefty price there. Among the core options there, I'd trend towards Ingram, 6,800. That's who I'd be looking for.
All right, that seems reasonable. The Lakers have the second best point differential in the league this year. It is at 7.4. Most years that would lead the league, but we actually have the Milwaukee Bucks currently at 12.4, meaning this is all their games, all the points scored less all the points allowed divided by all of their games played. They would average winning every game by 12.4 points. By the way, they have also clinched a playoff berth. They're the first team to do that as well. Wow. But the Lakers are second, which is darn impressive. Lakers are also very, very good at home, 23-5. So this is not going to be an easy one here for New Orleans. I believe this is let me get my other screen open here. I think this is the third time these guys have played. We have had a variety of guys healthy or injured in these, but Jrue Holiday has performed well. But you're right. With the addition of Giannis, we've got all sorts of usage that is being filled by a variety of other guys. By the way, Wizards have now tied the game with 23 seconds to go.
Wizards. The Wizards, the Wizards and Cavs have heart.
Apparently, Atlanta rolled over. They are now losing by 16.
Joel, you ready for Joel Embiid line here? 80 points for Embiid.
Oh boy, Joel Embiid, 46 NBA points, 13 boards,
49 NBA points.
Oh, Joel Embiid. Let's do the three. There you go.
That's a day. All right, and at a buy, I got him on the same team. At a buy on Embiid, 16.79. I'll take it. All right.
There you are. Hopefully, that's not a Westbrook lineup. But
I got Beal too. I got Beal on that one too, 54. Yeah, we'll see.
Might have a moment. Might have
a moment. We need it. Okay, back to the slate.
So on the Lakers side, I think you can look to most definitely Kuzma at 4,400 on DK, Anthony Davis at 10.3, solid play, and LeBron James at 10.7. We know those guys will be motivated. They are at home, and Portland, good God, the Pelicans, for all of their getting people back and kind of starting to gel as a team, etc. Let's see where they are. They're middle of the pack. They're allowing 110 points per 100 possessions. They are also playing at the second fastest pace, and both those are over their last 15 games. So there should be a fair amount of opportunity here for at least, I don't want to say the big three because it's really the big two, but Kyle Kuzma is the one other guy I kind of can. I don't know that trust is the right word, but I am willing to endorse. Anything that does anything pop for you for like Rondo or Dwight Howard, Danny Green, Avery Bradley?
I just looked at McGee. I mean, he's been doing nothing, but this is his lowest DraftKings price in 2 years.
He still is in the rotation, to be fair. So he's getting about 13 to 14 minutes per game.
Right.
Sometimes you want to mention that because once they get below 10, you can start to see a pattern, and he is still in the rotation.
He is still in the rotation. Lowest price in 2 years. Not a terrible GPD play. Not terrible. Wouldn't lock him in, obviously, but not terrible. Danny Green, 3,300. I mean, these bench guys for LA, they've completely just threw him in the trash. I mean, you got Markieff Morris also is going to get some minutes now, too. He's at 3,400. So here's another game where I think there's going to be a lot of hype around, New Orleans and, close game. New Orleans is playing well. But you could end up seeing a blowout scenario here. So maybe if you want to do something like in some lineups, you play a blowout scenario in Denver, and in other lineups, you play a blowout scenario in Los Angeles. I'm trying to think who are do you know who typically I mean, LA's tough because they got a lot of just random guys on the bench and not necessarily a mop-up crew. But you'd be looking at guys like I think Marquise Morris will probably get some good run in a blowout. I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope should probably get some good run in a blowout. So you pick a couple guys there and maybe throw some scenarios there in terms of everyone's going to be deciding between LeBron and AD, right? And a lot of people be playing the narrative, the AD revenge game narrative. He's got a 37% 6x value rate though at 10,300 for this season. He's the preferred option here. I always hesitate to call Anthony Davis the preferred anything when he can visit the locker room at any given moment, but preferred option over LeBron inside New Orleans struggles. I like this spot for AD in terms of my pricier option. So to recap, AD, Ingram, and maybe a bench guy, maybe JaVale McGee. I'd take a chance on JaVale McGee ahead of anyone else on the bench there for the Lakers.
All right, I like it. Let's some potential late slate plays because we still have 2 games to go. That means there should be a 3-game late slate, 2 10 o'clock games and a 10:30 game there. Please, fingers crossed, they don't do 2 games at 10 and then a single game at 10:30. Come on, please, please, please. But hey, reminder, a little something for everybody to look at. We've got an Osmo podcast giveaway. So you can find this information on the pinned tweet on the Osmo_COM Twitter handle. But I would like to remind everybody that if you go to our podcast page, this could be at iTunes, this can be at Podbean, this can be literally at any of your usual sources, Google Play, Spotify, all that stuff. If you go out there, you rate, give us a 5-star rating and a review, and in the review, just put in your username or your Twitter handle, and we are doing a drawing for 1 free month of Osmo Premium content. So again, all you got to do is reply in the comments of the podcast pages in with your Osmo username, and you'll be entered to win this contest.
Yep, and we'll be doing another one tomorrow. So.
Yes. That does not mean the YouTube page. That does not mean replying to Twitter. It means going to rate 5-star review on the old podcast page and give us a little review. And the review literally can consist of your Osmo username and Twitter handle.
Mm-hmm. And well, you got to say something because you could put that. You can put whatever you want. You could say you can say whatever you want. But you actually put when you review, you put your name in the. Ask for your username. So usually you say this was awesome, or if you didn't like it, this was terrible. I do disagree with all your picks, whatever you want to say. Rate it, subscribe, and you're entered. Yeah.
All right, let's hit these last 2 games. People are probably getting close to their offices, so they're going to want us to wrap up before they get there. We do not have over-unders for our final 2 games here. We have Boston at Portland. Obviously, Damian Lillard still out with the groin injury. Kemba Walker is still is still out with the knee injury from that standpoint. And then I thought there was one other player, but it looks like they are all healthy, those at least of note. So I like Hassan Whiteside. I like Jason Tatum, but we're paying 92 and 88 respectively on DK for them. I would happily take Gordon Hayward in what should be a bit of an up-tempo game there for Boston. And I would look to Jaylen Brown. Those would be the guys I would want on the main slate. Expand that up to Jason Tatum on the 3-game late slate. What do you like here from the Celtics?
Tatum's been hot. He's turned into a superstar, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, really? I would say he's getting ready to make that leap.
He's getting ready to make that leap.
But we're seeing the flashes. It's not quite consistent yet, but
not quite. He's only like 20. We can't even drink yet, right? 20 years old.
Oh, I don't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's 20. The prices are hiked up for this game. This is, I think, the priciest game of the slate. So you got, even without Lillard, because you got two $9,000 players in Whiteside and McCollum there. And then you got Tatum over at 8,800, Hayward, no Kemba again. Honestly, not a game I'm loving. I know the over-under is going to be relatively attractive.
but it's what do you think? 228, somewhere around there.
Sounds pretty accurate. 228. Yeah, 228 and a half. We'll call it. We don't want ties. 228 and a half. And Enes Kanter. There you go. 3,300. A lot of these centers are really cheap on DraftKings.
Seems to me he actually may have a little acrimony towards Portland.
He has. What was the what's the narrative here?
For Enes Kanter?
Yeah.
Didn't he play for Portland and last year for a while?
And then they didn't resign him,
like, and he got really salty that they did not even talk to him when he hit free agency, and they made an announcement for Whiteside without giving him a heads up, if I remember correctly.
They decided to take a vastly overrated center who has contributed nothing to winning basketball. So good for them. But
he played 23 games for them, 8 starts, averaged 23 and a half minutes per game last year.
Yeah, he was on completely blank. He was on Portland. Wow. He filled in for wasn't after Nurkic got hurt, right?
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I do like Enes Kanter. Here's a nice spot for him. He hasn't been getting minutes at all, but again, there's a lot of guys here who, we've talked about JaVale McGee, we've talked about Mason Plumlee. Enes Kanter might be on top of the list there in terms of guys who, if they can scratch 20 minutes, are able to put up 30 points. So Kanter, he's a real interesting play for a Boston team whose prices have hiked greatly after that Lakers game. McCollum. McCollum's the opening question now. Like, are you playing McCollum at 9K?
I'm comfortable with it. He is 9,000 on DK, up to 8,500 on FanDuel, 35 on Yahoo. That's kind of a slam dunk there on Yahoo. I'll have to pull up SuperDraft and find out what he is there. It is a premium, but he was a rebound shy of a triple-double in that last game. He hit, I want to say, like 16 of 30 shots or something crazy like that. That was an apex game, but that is part of the outcome. I would suspect less people are going to be interested in him based on that rapidly increasing price tag. On SuperDraft on Sunday, he was 87% owned with a 1.55 multiplier. His multiplier is now 1.5. Just know that if you do take him, you will be joining a crowd. That is a very nice multiplier, even in a difficult matchup here. That's more than generous for what he's going to be doing. But again, just know he could implode. He could miss the shots. Regression could come up. Maybe Boston decides that they're going to completely focus on him, even on the road, try to shut him down, etc. There are ways things can go sideways for him, but it's going to be tempting.
Yeah, usage without Lillard.
Sorry, coughing fit.
38 usage rates over the last month without Lillard on the floor. 1.31 fantasy points per minute. Hassan Whiteside's actually over the last month averaging more fantasy points per minute, 1.48 with 20 usage rates. So it's going to be hard to fit both of Whiteside and McCollum into your lineup.
If you're going to do that, you're going to want to come back with one of the key Portland players because you got to figure it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, absolutely. You could, but I think I would trend Whiteside here. I would trend Whiteside. I'll go with the lower on play.
I would not fight you over that one at all. Let's hit the last game of the night here. This is going to be a fun one. Now, we don't have the over-under, but it is Sacramento at Golden State. Marquise Chris, questionable, missed the last game. Draymond Green, questionable. He's been out with a pelvic injury. We know that Rashawn Holmes and Marvin Bagley are not going to play. Obviously, Curry and Thompson aren't going to play, etc., but we still don't have the over-under here on this one. Players I like. De'Aaron Fox at 76 on DK. Buddy Hield at 66. Nemanja Bjelica at 59. I think those guys are all absolutely fine. I tend to get burned by playing Bojan Bogdanovic because he has not been great this season, but you can put him in play at 5,600. We also have, on the other side, I think we're good. If Draymond is out, I think you definitely consider Eric Pascal, and I think you can look at Jordan Poole as well at 5,400. Price is coming up, but he should see in the low 30s for minutes, and this is a decent matchup for him. I do not like Kai Bowman. I do not like Harry Giles, and I do not like where was the other guy? I think I'm down on Wiggins in this one. What do you like from our late night hammer?
What about JTA?
Well, JTA is interesting. So that would be it's Jordan, right? Jordan
Juan Toscano Anderson.
I knew it was Toscano Anderson. That part I remembered. I just couldn't remember his first name. But you've got him at the price is really coming up. He's played 28 and 25 minutes in his last 2 games. He took 10 shots and 8 shots. Good, bad, or indifferent, he shot 62% in those games. That helps things look good look very good. He's also averaging 3 combined blocks and steals in those games. Everything is going his way, but hey, it is the Sacramento Kings. So I think there is one of your 3-game late slates, and I just confirmed DKS the 3-game late slate there. Definitely a value play for you there. Not sure if I'd get there on the full slate.
Yeah.
Bazemore. Sorry, Bazemore's the other guy I don't like.
Bazemore. There's so many bodies on Golden
State.
Yeah,
and his is more just because he's so darn inconsistent. He's just so that would be a rule. I wouldn't want Bazemore and Bogdanovich probably on the same team.
Bogdanovich. Can you trust anyone under $6,000 in this game? I mean, really. There's just so much. I mean, Harrison Barnes. Could there be a guy with more random games than Harrison Barnes? Just you have no idea. Might as well take up a hat when he's going to have a good game.
Yeah, he's been playing heavy minutes, but he's still, 39 minutes, 34 fantasy points. 38 minutes, 38 fantasy points. 29 minutes, 20 fantasy points. 37 minutes, 34 fantasy points. That's less than a fantasy point per minute. 28 minutes, 19 fantasy points.
It's a revenge game for him. There you go. It's anyone's birthday? Maybe that's the equalizer.
Well,
birthday narratives.
It's not his birthday, but it is Jimmer Fredette's birthday, and he did play for Sacramento.
He did play in Sacramento. I don't think anyone on the team. It's Mario Zanja's birthday too. And it's Fred VanVleet's birthday. EMac.
Indeed, it is.
Oh my goodness.
Indeed, it is. So this is a glorious day. I was saving that one for us to wrap up the podcast.
Oh man, I ruined it. Oh. All right.
But we have, you usually look at these things or know these because for people that don't realize, Joey does a lot of, oversees a lot of our behind the scenes social media, marketing content, etc. But he's stepping out in front of the camera or in front of the microphone, we say, on a few things here because he's a longtime DFS player himself. But it's, I was surprised you didn't know that one right off the bat when we were talking about him. But there it is. Cat's out of the bag.
Check it before. You probably thought that's why I recommended him, didn't you?
No, but it's Kurt Rambis's birthday.
Oh.
As well. One of my favorite players when I was a kid. Because I had to wear glasses and I had the little thing, the strap to hold them on, and that's what he had too. So I thought, see if you can do that and play. Him and Eric Dickerson. Although Dickerson had the rec specs, I did not.
Horace Grant?
No, I was older then, so I had contacts by then. I didn't worry about
it. So because you wore them a little later, it wasn't the same.
Yes. Well, it wasn't as pertinent to me. No, Horace and Harvey Grant. You had James Worthy, obviously, Kareem. There was a lot of guys that were.
There was. I mean, contacts weren't, LASIK wasn't around. So. Yeah, so Alex Len also. Did he get any minutes last game? I'm check him out. Alex Len, 16 minutes. An option. It's gonna be hard to predict these rotations there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of especially on Golden State, a lot of moving bodies. I don't even know if Steve Kerr knows who's gonna play.
No, and you did say it best. Do you trust anybody below 6K in this game? No.
Absolutely not.
But that's where when you're doing the mass multi-entry, you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and all of a sudden, maybe you get the right combination and get it together and have that lineup be surrounded by the key superstar players. Perhaps you were to pick somebody like a Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bradley Beal, and then surrounded them by some bargains today. And then what happens if Giannis and Bradley Beal go to overtime? You might catch a good game from both of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that game is in overtime. 30 seconds left.
Got 2 overtime games. Miami, Cleveland too.
Oh, they did. Wow.
Somehow this is stunning. So, Duncan Robinson had 20.5 points at halftime, and now he's got 19.75.
Chris Middleton has played 40 minutes with 30 seconds to go. Rui Hachimura has played 46 minutes. He has 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists.
Getting his cardio in.
Bradley Beal, I think he had, 53 real points last night? He has 53 right now as well.
Again, man, Bradley Beal. Off that flight, too, yeah?
Well, this is you guys didn't bring me into the All-Star game payback.
Yeah.
I'm serious about this.
You're right.
He was very, very angry. His girlfriend, fiance, was very, very angry. So those are, so the All-Star game narrative being snubbed, that one I buy into a tiny bit.
You buying that one?
Because they control their shots and stuff like that, and it's usually one of the fringe top 25 players in the league or whatever, top 30 players. So those are the guys that can have a really good.
Do you think he deserved it?
Yes, but I don't know who I would have taken out. I can't remember if Jay Walker and I were. I think we were talking about this after we recorded the podcast last night, because his thought was if the fans had not voted in Trae Young probably wouldn't have made the All-Star team. That would have been a shame because they probably would have picked a veteran over him, somebody like Bradley Beal. I think Trae deserved to make the team. So it's one of those where, yes, you feel that you're snubbed. Usually one or two guys get in on each side because somebody's injured, and then you kind of get to you could have made the team, but who would we have taken off? And then if it's like, there's usually a bunch of guys that are kind of equally matched, and then it just becomes, what fan is it? And I don't really think you should vote based upon how the teams are doing, in my opinion. For the MVP and other hardware you can for that, for going to the All-Star game, come on. Having to carry a crappy team in a small market, it's a nice little reward, not just for the player, but also for the fan base. So they can, because remember, the thing about the All-Star game, this is just my opinion, you were there, so tell me, because I've been to 2 baseball All-Star games. I've never been to a basketball All-Star game. But it's kind of a celebration of the fan, the players get to hang out, all that fun stuff. You get to see video tributes, and just everybody kind of has a good time. I think that's always a nice little hat tip to whoever's having the best kind of statistical season. And I don't get too salty if it's, like a Draymond Green not making it when he did make it. That would have been the kind of guy I would have said was on the fringe.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. There's no one who I would have been like that. It was an egregious. Adebayo deserved it. Sabonis deserved it. All those guys deserved it. Beal also deserved it, but.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. I mean, even players I'm like, kind of a jerk, whatever. Yeah, but if you look at it, you're like, yeah, that was kind of where the cutoff line. This year, it just so happened the cutoff line included some guys that was really close. Or excluded, I should. Some guys that were really close. But let's wrap it up because that is now no longer DFS. But reminder, definitely you can use the promo code EarlyBird, all one word, to get 50% off any 1 week of Awesemo premium content. And don't forget to rate, review on our podcast pages. Leave a comment saying you listened to this one because you know it's Fred VanVleet's birthday, and you will be entered in a drawing tomorrow.
Say happy birthday, Fred VanVleet.
There you go. Happy birthday, Fred VanVleet. We're doing a drawing a day for the next week or so here, giving away 1 month of Awesemo premium content. Rate with the 5-star. If you're going to be there, give us the 5-star review. And the review can be, it's Fred VanVleet's birthday. Happy birthday, Fred. Your Awesemo username and Twitter handle. And we will get the winner their 30 free days. Any final thoughts, Joey?
Happy birthday, Fred VanVleet.
That'll end it for me. With that, gamers, good luck.